Upstream right in the second row. That's you.
Yes, I know. Right, just a couple of things. I mean, curiously, you might well be on 12 times within Smiths Group for all you know, which is just a sort of interesting debate to have. Sorry to be really agricultural, but if upstreams come from 25% of your sales, even in 11 to 15%. It must have gone backwards quite a bit in absolute terms.
The growth rate of our midstream and downstream business has been faster than what we've seen in our upstream.
Yeah, hang on. You can't wriggle out of it quite like that. No, I mean, if one part of the business has come from 25% to 15%, and you've still achieved the growth in mid and downstream, then your 6% target, I begin to understand why it's not ridiculous, even if you're an accountant. Sorry, upstream must have gone backwards.
Upstream, relative to what year?
11, which was probably referencing...
I think it's been more flattish. More flattish.
Right. Well, either way, you've achieved what growth you have through 12, 13, with one hand behind your back.
It's coming from, right, it's coming from downstream. So to the extent the upstream business starts to return to, any growth or market level growth, it will be quite helpful to us.
Yeah, and unless someone's stolen your technology, these carbon fiber and rods and all the rest of it, unless you've got lots of new entrants, you must be in with a shout there.
There is a new entrant, and it's been much more competitive than it's been in the past.
Right. Okay, it's a bit trickier. And then I mean, just going back to another sort of way that you used to present this, the traditional John Crane seals market was 2.1, 2.3 billion. Within that 5, and the 3 billion of it was bearings, filters, other stuff.
3.5 is bearings, filters, couplings, and seals, and 1.5 is the upstream rods business. That's how you get to the 5.
Well, it feels like that's never mind. I'll have to look back at it. But the big thing is, either way, a huge chunk of the addressable market was represented by bearings and filters, where you had a sort of 3 or 5% market share. So you don't need to go off into new products in terms of your adjacencies to give you a big opportunity, do you?
We have, so we've talked a lot about I think you're talking about organic growth or acquisitions now?
Well, it could be both, if you see what I mean. Frankly, if you buy another thing the size of Orion or something, it hardly counts as acquisition growth. It's just another way of building out, could be geographically or adding another product. I mean, it's almost quasi-R&D, but quicker to market, given the stickiness. So I would have thought, sorry, rambling, different questions. Bolt-ons were quite a quick way of making progress here. We've just not actually done very many.
I'm not sure what your question is, Cindy.
Right. Go back to what you used to tell us, which was of the 5, 3 were adjacent products like bearings, filters, couplings, where your market shares were just 3 or 5%.
Correct.
Right. So we can make hay in seals and we'll do fine, but it's only 2 out of the 5. So 3 is a hell of an opportunity if we can cross-sell, if we can get stuff quicker to market in the face of the stickiness. But we haven't done many bolt-ons, which would seem to be the shortcut.
I'm not sure what you mean by the shortcut. I'm not arguing with you about the cross-sell. It's part of our strategy. It's an important part of our growth plan going forward. So I agree with that completely. I'm not sure. I don't. Maybe I'm just being thick. I don't quite understand the shortcut.
No,
Sandy, does it help if I say that the range of 4 to 6%, which we've been debating, is an organic range?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. I mean, never mind. I do the thick bit here. So I'll let me look back and compare it. It just seemed like there's a big growth opportunity in this cross-selling. Really big growth opportunity in this cross-selling.
Beyond the 4 to 6, you're saying?
Yeah.
So you haven't asked the question, but 25% of our customers today buy more than one product. So it's another way to think about the opportunity.
Right. That's a great answer to the question I should have asked.
Next question. Questions exhausted.
Uh-huh.
Last chance. Hang on.
Right. When we used to split the markets out separately, when we look at those projects that you listed on one of the slides, or the numbers,
Yep.
is FLNG and everything in there? You know, how much LNG is in that? I've forgotten what slide.
Stuff you showed? Which, you're talking about the slide with the new projects that David Hill showed?
It probably is. I mean, as ever, it's got no particular scale or anything. It's, whatever it was, 47.
Yeah.
Can we go back to slide 47, please?
Because the other thing that's new in this presentation, with respect, is we now talk about going through the EPCs. You know, in previous John Crane presentations, we kind of skipped them out. And the big thing about LNG in particular is, you know, if, say, the BP process gets settled on, and you're in with BP, then the odds are that other people are going to adopt it for LNG or FLNG, and then really that would be very helpful, wouldn't it?
LNG would be... The answer is, on this chart, yes, LNG is in those numbers. And if the U.S. starts to export gas, that would be good for us. If, as LNG terminals are built around the world, that's very good for us as well, because we're in virtually all of the LNG terminals today. We have fantastic reference projects and a fantastic track record. I mean, Dave Hill, you want to...
Yeah, Sandy, I think the point you're making around gaining end user specification on a particular process, and you sort of reference that to FLNG, is a good point. And I think to the point that Duncan raised, if you look at the FLNG installed base today, irrespective of whose process it is, then they're John Crane seals on those large applications. So we did bring in the EPC piece into the discussion today. It's an important piece, but that's not to the sort of detriment of working with the end users on the process side, or the OEMs at the other end of the project funnel. So yeah, FLNG is in the numbers, and we're feeling pretty good about where we're positioned from a technology perspective. It's really a question of how that market grows.
Any other questions? If not, Duncan, do you want to say a few final words to wrap up?
Well, first of all, if we think about the objectives